Alright, man. So we back, and I think I got a lot of like the first episode jitters out. I'm tripping. I ain't even got the light on, bro. I think I got a lot of the first episode jitters out, and I got a lot of really good feedback. A lot of love of people telling me, speak your truth. This is the kind of stuff that we love to hear, and that's cool. It's nice to get that affirmation and to see that support. Um, so thank you first and foremost to everybody who has shown the support and love. Um, even just on the short clip that I posted on Instagram and the few comments that I've gotten on the YouTube video. But I got a lot of, I'm not gonna say a lot. I got a decent amount of feedback and messages in regards to like Red Bull. And I kind of wanted to dive deeper into just like the whole Red Bull dancer style thing and, just a few other topics. So this might be a little bit of a longer video, but yeah. First and foremost, like I know Red Bull dancer style is not the measure or the thing in which people should measure where their skill is at, how good they are, their worth, and determine their worth as a dancer and individual. I know that. That is not what I do whatsoever. It has never been the determining factor of how I felt about myself as a dancer. When I said what I said about being so dissatisfied with my performance and beating myself up, it was strictly from the standpoint of being a competitor. I also said something in the previous video about being honest with oneself about where you're at, how you did, you know, where you're going, the amount of time and effort that you put into your craft and things like that. All that. So like honesty is the thing that I'm getting at. Being honest with yourself about your dance and your journey. And with that, when I lost, mind you, it's crowd judged, damn near unanimous decision. And I knew I lost that. I've never, outside of the people that were there, I've never shared the footage. I've never posted it. I sent it to a few of my crewmates and that's it. And I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna let y'all see it. Um, and I really went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to share it, but I did horrible, bro. I did absolutely horrible. And that is, like I said, strictly from a competitor standpoint. I'm a competitor, always, um, pretty much first and foremost, like competitor. Like I said, I did sports growing up and getting into battling, it was interesting to me because it was a competitive space like sports, like fighting or whatever. The only difference is in those other things, there's a clear winner. With dance, it's an art, so there's a lot of subjectivity. There's a lot of gray area. And whenever it comes to street dance, there's a lot of misunderstanding of what's what. You have people judging who probably shouldn't be judging just based off of their ability to win battles as opposed to having depth and understanding to or of the dance and to the music and situational awareness and shit like that. Um, but yeah, so Red Bull, I had, I had did. I'm gonna start from the beginning. Like I had did Red Bull Dancer style back in what are we in 2023? Maybe what 2018, 2018, 2017. I had did it right. They did it down in Miami. I made it to the finals. I lost to my boy Kid the Monster. But we still both qualified to go to the national final in Vegas. Boom. We do that. Go to the national finals. I lose top 16 to Kid David. the b-boy, super cool um, individual, super cool battle. And even then I was kind of like, like just dissatisfied with how I did. And then the following year, that's the year that a lot more people had seen, the footage and things like that. That's whenever I made it to the finals again. I lost to Dassey in the finals. That was the one that that's the one that was on caffeine. That a lot of people were like, I don't know, you should have won that. But like even then, I still feel like there was a lack of consistency between each rounds. I cut my round short. I was tired. Like she really stretched it out. And at the end of the day, it's a crowd judged event. So she was playing to the crowd, somebody who's watching and they're like, oh, he ended short, he only danced for X amount of time, regardless of if my round was better or not. To people who aren't dancers or the untrained eye or whatever the case may be, that automatically could be like, nah, I'm giving it to her. Like she went crazy. She danced for the full time. Blah blah boom. Like it looked like he quit. X, Y, and Z. Whatever. I lost in the finals. So this is my second time. I go to the national finals, and I make it to the quarterfinals this time, and I lose to Dassey again at the national final. To this, we danced to the same one of the same songs again. So I lose to her again. Boom, whatever. But I think my performance there, as well as like the possibility of Dassey just not doing it or just not wanting to do it, is what put me in the position to be invited to go to the world final. What ended up happening was COVID. COVID happened. COVID happened. Boom. Getting ready. My bag was packed. Getting ready to go to South Africa. And the new strain of COVID. I think it was Omicron at the time. Like 2 days or maybe less than 24 hours before my flight, they closed the borders to South Africa. Like you couldn't travel back and forth, so they canceled the event entirely. Like, which is super crazy because if I had went, if we had went, a lot of us would have got stuck out there for who knows how long. But yeah, so that happened. They delayed it. Boom, and then I think it was a year later, last year. They're like, okay, we're gonna bring you still. Like, we were gonna bring you originally. Are you still down to go? Boom, cool. So I'll go to South Africa. At this point, to the point, like I said, a lot of these points I kind of tapped into or touched on in the last video, but I have been slacking. I slack a lot. Like whenever it comes to my training, I'm not gonna lie, I slack a lot, and that's something that I've tried to work on and be better about. But so I had been slacking during my training, especially during COVID. Like everybody's in the house, there's no events happening, there's like all these online battles. Nobody's really interested in that kind of stuff. Let me not say nobody, but a lot of people had mixed feelings about the online battles and just a lack of being in spaces with people and that sense of community and shit like that. So I was gaming. Bro. I barely danced during COVID, and so my skill and things, I don't want to say they dropped, but like the progression of growth kind of just like was here. There had been like a bit of a decline just due to not training, keeping up physically and fitness wise. So once it started getting closer and closer to time to go, I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna get to training. And I think there was like a handful of events. Damn it, I think there was like a handful of events that I went to prior to that. I know I judged Hot Zone, and I had entered like popping. judged hip hop, but I can't really think, and I'll have to double check. I can't really think of anything else that I had did months leading up to that outside of going to hot zone sessions in Arizona. Yeah, so I get to South Africa and I'm like, all right, bet, I got this I got this opportunity to be in Africa, which in itself was amazing. Experience, everything, the entire experience was amazing. Like, um, but to the point, getting to the battle, right? So I'm like, I get there, I either got sick on the way there by somebody in the airport or by somebody a part of the event like once I had got there. Because I want to say by like the third day, so I had to have been, like on the way there or something. But by like the third day, I had already started to have like a little cough. But I had got sick, so I'm having headache, congestion. My breathing was killing me, and so I'm already like, damn, I'm feeling like shit. And this is not to make any excuse. It's just what it was. Um, and I forget what it was that we had did. As you could tell, my memory is in the moment is fucking terrible. Um, but I have great memory. All right, so Keister, if you're watching this, your memory's fucking trash in comparison. But nevertheless, um, we had did like a lot of walking around and just different shit. I had trained a little bit in the training room that they have, and so like my legs were kind of sore. So I went into the battle, and I have videos on my phone as well. Like I was trying to do a little podcast vlog thing, not podcast, a little vlog of the trip. Just documenting each phase and different stuff that we did and how I felt. To get like raw in the moment thoughts. And so I'll probably clip some of those in there just to kind of give context um, with my memory whenever it was fresh and all of that. But we had did a bunch of activities and just different shit beforehand, a lot of walking around and da da da. So I go into the battle, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be completely honest. A lot of dancers from the States automatically feel as though they're better than dancers from other parts of the world because we are from where we're from the country where these things originated. So it's like there's that sense of just being, better than, inherently better or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, like there's times where I did have that, and I did have that thought and that feeling, as if I was above some of these other people, because I'm like, nigga, I'm from the States. Like they can't do it like we do it. I mean, I still feel that way. Like a good chunk of the world doesn't do it like how a lot of people do it in the States. But I mean, there's a lot of people all over the world that are fucking insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not just the top names either. There's a lot of people that we never see, just as there's a lot of people that they never see from this side. Um, which is why it's easier to kind of have that mentality, especially whenever you're from a place and there's that sense of entitlement or whatever. And I could own that. And it is a bad way of thinking whenever it comes in terms of like just thinking without knowing that you're better than somebody because of where you're from, right? Um, so I'm like, okay, bet. I had seen the guy that I was gonna battle like just throughout the week, dance in different places. And I'm like, okay, I could probably beat him. Like I could do this, do that, da 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 da. And I think I could take him. And try to conserve. I was trying to sandbag like fuck. I ain't gonna lie. So I was like, okay, I'll just do this, and then you know, move on to the next round. Just who I got to beat. These will probably be tough battles for me. Just thinking way ahead without focusing on like the task at hand. Like, all right, I got this. So I get out there. My legs, like I said, my legs were sore, and I was like, I don't really want to do too much leg heavy stuff like I tend to do unless I absolutely have to. So I was like, what I'll do is just try to go a little crazy this first battle. Nothing too leg heavy, and then I can stretch and still kind of like, get my legs warmed up and all that beforehand. So I end up having to go, I think I have to go first. I end up going first, and I start housing. I don't know the song, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in my head. I'm like, all right, I'm thinking, damn, why am I doing this? Do something else. Find a beat, do this, just in my head, all over the place, bro. And then so in one of these rounds, my shoe comes off, and I'm like, all right, I've been training this shoe trick, do or die moment, kind of like in my first Red Bull top 4, I battled my now crewmate Rios, and honestly, if I hadn't done this, he probably would have beat me. He probably would have beat me and went to the finals, and my journey with Red Bull could be completely different. Like I could have never been asked to come back or whatever. You like that, I don't know. But in any case, my shoe comes off. I try to do a shoe trick. Fuck up the shoe trick. I'm like, all right, whatever, just put the shoe back on. I cannot grab a hold of the shoe, bro. I cannot grab a hold of the shoe to save my life. I'm panicking. So then I'm like, all right, maybe I finished my round. All right, maybe it wasn't that bad. Second round, I'm like, I gotta go crazy. And they play Beyonce, Lose My Breath. Great song. Like, I can get off to this. Boom. Literally losing my breath. I have my inhaler. He finishes his round, and I'm like, dang, I cannot breathe. I'm trying to get my inhaler to breathe and shit. So I'm running around. I'm dancing with the inhaler in my hand. Throw my inhaler, shit hit somebody in the crowd, I'm sure. And I'm just like, I'm reaching, bro, because I'm like, I gotta go crazy. So I'm reaching. I'm trying to do whatever I can. I think I finished my round dummy short. And embarrassingly, at the end of my second round, I finished right next to him, and I'm like, yeah, I just smoked you. I don't know why I did that. Because I knew I lost that first round. The second round, I don't know why I did that, bro. Because this nigga Kid Cobra got the moving on my dumb ass. Oh my gosh, bro. And after that, bro, soon as and with Red Bull, you never know. You know what I'm saying? I've seen plenty in numerous different countries, Red Bull battles where the person who is the better dancer and has the better rounds loses. So I'm like, maybe there's still a chance. 3, 2, 1. Beforehand, I already see all the blue. It was on his side. Blue. I'm like, whoo, it's looking. Go ahead, pack my bags, boy. I said, it said 3, 2, 1. Soon as they said 1, I'm already walking across to shake his hand like, congratulations. You know what I'm saying? You won. Cooked my dumb ass. Like, that's what I get. Very humbling experience. And so with all that being said, the competitive aspect of it and knowing how much better I am than what I did is why I beat myself up so hard about it. On top of that, I think the night before or so, my girlfriend Ash had gotten a bunch of my friends and family pretty much put together a video of everybody saying like good luck, we're so proud of you, this, that, and the third, like kill it. This is your moment, blah blah bum. So I'm like determined. I'm like, yeah, I gotta put on, you know what I'm saying? Like not only for myself, but for my friends and my family, my crew, my city, my state, my country. And in thinking that, I put way more pressure on myself to perform in a way that if I didn't, it I'm not gonna say it was going to. It could have broken me. I put way more pressure on myself than anybody ever actually did. They were just proud. And I took those messages and tried to use it as fuel to be like, yeah, like let's go, like some fucking Disney movie or something. But in reality, all I did was psych myself out into just being in the moment and enjoying the moment and just doing. Um, and that's why even afterwards it was like, fuck, how do I go back and be like, yeah, this is what happened. You know, how do I go back and be like, yeah, I blew it. I blew it. I know y'all were all rooting for me, but I blew it. And that was my mentality at the time. And so that is why afterwards, the event happened in December last year. So it hasn't even been a full year yet. But December last year, and that's why as soon as I got back, I was on it. Like, all right, let's get back to it. Boom, 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 training every day. And it wasn't even like a full month later that I went to thesis and made it to the final. I don't know, man. Lately, it's just been kind of like a make it to the finals kind of deal. Um, but yeah, like the capabilities, all that to say, like I know that my capabilities, my level of skill and understanding of these different styles, depth of understanding and application is there. There's hella room for growth for sure, but that is why I felt the way that I did. It wasn't directly because Red Bull was like the measure of success and skill, and determine my worth as a dancer. And to double onto that, as far as like the Red Bull situation at the time. So since I had been doing Red Bull this year, I did Red Bull that year, boom, 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 made it to the national finals 2 years back to back, and then I didn't. Oh, that's what it was. I didn't get asked to do it the following year or whatever because I was already going to be a guest at the World Final. Since the year that I lost in the semis to Dassey, I was going to go to the World Final. So whenever they canceled that World Final and then they started bringing the circuit back around, I didn't get asked to compete in that year because I was already going to the World Final. So in doing like all these different Red Bull dance events and like the opportunities, seemingly, and the sort of what's the word that I'm looking for, like visibility and shit like that, and being a Red Bull dancer, like that's what I was working towards. I was like, dang, I would like to try and get sponsored by Red Bull, become a Red Bull dancer. Um, because you don't see that's something that's like newer for us, especially outside of b-boys, because b-boys have had Red Bull BC1, Red Bull b-boys, and then you have the monster b-boys, and so like you see Angel the Popper and Dassey and these other European dancers. Well, not just European, but there's Kyoka from Asia, but like Majid and Diablo and Style C and Poppin C. But all these different dancers being sponsored by Red Bull and the visibility that comes with that, the opportunities, they're getting flown around competing on the company's dime. Obviously not just leisure, it's a job at the end of the day, but that's something as a competitor, growing up watching shit like the X Games and different stuff like that, I'm like, dang, like that's what I would like to do. Like that's cool. You feel me? Like I get to become a professional battle dancer, and compete and teach and do shit around the world. Like on paper, it looks great. And it's not to say that it's not, because I don't know, but on paper, like it looks great. And that's what I'm working towards. So that's why I get to the world final. I'm like, all right, this is my opportunity to show that I am at a level that's marketable to the world. Pick me up and put me on. You feel me? But yeah, that's why I felt the way that I did. Something I forgot to mention, and completely another situation that I just completely erased from my mind. That it wasn't even that bad, but it's just I had competed in Red Bull again this year, in North Carolina. Lost top 16. Lost top 16, but I just wasn't. I think my mentality and my mind around competing for Red Bull was a little bit different now. And I also think, again, there's like that sense of entitlement, like, oh, I've been here before. I've done this. Um, so that hunger and desire and feeling of like proving myself and of wanting this had kind of dimmed, especially because there was a lot of people that I didn't know in the bracket. And I was like, oh, okay, like I'm not too worried. Again, humbling experience. I lost to Frankie Freeman. Shout out to her. She won the whole thing in North Carolina, and then went to the national final and did her thing. But yeah, I was just like, I don't think I was in like the right headspace for that in particular. And even now, if I'm asked to do it again, I don't know, because um, I don't know, the music and the mentality behind doing battles like that. It's very similar to an all style battle, which that in itself I'm less inclined to do these days as well. But then the crowd judging thing is a big part of the performance aspect and the showmanship and putting on a show. And someone just being like as much of a competitor as I am, and not to say that I can't be or I'm not um, a crowd pleaser, but I just think that it's not something. I don't know. It's whenever I'm thinking about dance and battling, um, I would prefer there to be, as objective of a scoring system or an outcome as possible. I'm not necessarily too fond of it just being like, oh, like this is a crowd favorite. They like your personality and the way you project yourself in XYZ, da 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 da. Um, because I can be very reserved. I also can be very outgoing and do this, that, and the third, and boom, boom, boom. But the idea of like the judgment from people who may or may not really know too much about dancers who may or may not know too much about a particular style, who have varying opinions about certain ways of battling, approaching a battle, approaching music, da 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 da. And like even being a dancer in itself doesn't qualify you to be a judge. So whenever people complain about, oh, you have all these people who don't dance judging you, it's like, yeah, but you could have somebody who doesn't dance but is analytical enough and understands enough to be able to base their vote on something that holds more validity than a dancer who is looking at something and doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Um, so like I don't know if I would do it again. If they came back and they were like, "Hey, we want you to do this for X amount of money," you know, if they keep upping that price, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it to the best of my capabilities. But yeah, um, that kind of makes it segue into like another thing about it's connected but not really. A thought that I was having in regards to an athlete, where we're going with dance and the Olympics and shit like that. Um, an athlete versus an artist. And like I said, I've always been a competitor and an athlete at heart. And I've never, and anybody who I'm not gonna say anybody, but I've spoken to a lot of people that I've sold this to before, that I don't feel like the most creative individual. And people are always like, "Oh, but you dance, so like you have to be creative, um, to a degree." And I agree. I agree. Like to a degree, there is some level of creativity, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm the most creative or the most artsy, artistic, expressive kind of person whenever it comes to dance. I'm very much an analytical individual. And I was kind of looking into, and I didn't dive too deep into the research. I will more, but I was kind of looking into like the idea of, or if there's a thing such as an analytical creative, where like my ideas just come from um analyzing like something for what it is and different shapes or formulas to kind of create things. If that makes sense. That's something that I'm still trying to kind of like wrap my head around, because I'll get in even like training and coming up with certain stuff. Like, I don't feel like I'm necessarily the most creative in that space. Sometimes it takes me seeing something that someone's doing, or talking to people and understanding like their thought process behind, in order for me to take that, analyze, like, okay, what is it that they're doing, or analyze, okay, what is the why behind this, and then applying that to myself in a way that's like, okay, I can do this, and knowing that this person does this because it reminds them of this. How can I apply that to myself in other ways, or something that I already do? And so like I've never felt like this artist, when people are like, "Oh, just put out your art, just put out this." And people have like these deep meanings to things when they're dancing, and it's like, I'm this blade of grass that's just. And shout out to Yoey for this. Whenever we were in South Africa, we were on the bus, I think coming back from the club or something, talking about this in general, just being like expressive and taking an idea and an image of it and being able to portray it through dance. Um, it's like being this blade of grass blowing through the wind, struggling, fighting to stay upright, and then just giving yourself to the sway. Like I've never been I've never been, an individual that can take these sort of things and really like be expressive, or dance to a song and be like, I don't know, like this And I don't know, like it's not. And shout out to y'all that can. I swear I'm not trying to crack jokes or nothing, but it's just never been me. And I try, bro. I do try, and it's not that I can't connect to music, um, because I hear it. Sometimes I'll dance to something, and people will say like, "Yo, your connection to the music is really ah ah." And I'll listen to music and I can connect to it. You know what I'm saying? There's some songs and music that can make me cry, this, that, and the third, but like for the life of me, I just cannot. I cannot. I look at people like like uh like David the Crown, you know, and his ability to like portray the emotions of a song in his dancing. I can't, bro. I can't. I'm not gonna say I can't. In this moment, it's something that I am incapable or unable to do. I'm sure I could, but in this moment, it's something that I feel that I am not able to do. Like it really is something. Even looking at people like my crewmate Desi or Liz, out of Tampa, and even LD, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a very lyrical kind of freestyle dancer. And I guess in order to do that, you have to really know words and stuff to song. I'm the worst with knowing lyrics to music. Uh, I'm the worst. I'll know the cadences of the words and hear shit in the song and catch a vibe in a song, but like I'm the worst with lyrics. Absolutely. You would think and as many times as I've heard a song, and Ash will tell, babe, Ash, can you come here? Can you come here? How often, whenever we're like in the car listening to music, do you hear me say the words and it be the wrong words? And it's a song that we hear a lot.
All the time. Every song, all the time.
Every song is a lot. Every song is a lot.
The only words, the two songs he knows words to, all the words, well, most of the words, are would be no hands and worst behavior. That's it.
And this is how we do. Or how we do.
Some LL Cool J songs.
Yeah, but like there will be songs that I've heard and I've listened to since I was a jit, and I just am not good with lyrics. So huh? Yes, that is all. I appreciate you. Um, not back to the dungeon, but whenever I think about like an artist in comparison or versus an athlete in regards to a dancer, I feel like I fall more in line with the athlete side of it. Um, because I try and I will continue to try. I will continue to try and put out um projects and find ways to put my artistic touch onto something and my creative mind onto something and put things out there. But I've never I don't know. It's never clicked for me. And maybe my understanding of creativity and being a creative and an artist is skewed. And if that's the case, let me know. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if that is the case, cuz I I would love to have a better understanding of what an artist is and how I align with that, so I can feel good and be like, I'm an artiste. Fuck you talking about? I'm an artiste. All right. This is my work of art. And it does not matter how you feel about it because it's art. But because I look at things so much like an athlete and a competitor, and I try to view dance battles and stuff like that as objectively as possible. And maybe that's the issue, is that I've tried to view these things with so much objectivity that the idea of like this just being an opinion, and I can express myself and or do these things outside of this structure or whatever, whenever it comes to me being an artist, because this is a work of art that I'm putting together, I'm putting out for a specific purpose outside of competition and battles and shit like that, where it's like this versus this. Because whenever I look at this versus this in my mind, I'm looking for something to be as objective as possible, looking for it to not have um to leave out, the opinions and everything as much as possible. Because if originally me getting into this and being a competitor and looking at these battles as something like I want to be one of the best, how can that be the case if there's so much room for argument with this subjectivity? And obviously, like, it's dance itself has come such a long way in the discussions and understanding of what makes someone, at this level and this, da da da. But there's still so much argument. Like, there's people who still argue what makes this style, and not just in one, but in numerous styles. Um, but I'm gonna end it there. We gonna wrap there because I feel like I've been going. I'm not gonna lie, I hate why I've probably watched those rounds maybe like 5 times tops. That's it. And I don't even know about like in full. Every time I go to watch it, it just makes my stomach turn. The idea of sharing these rounds with people is absolutely terrifying and disturbing to me. Why would I do this to myself? I don't know. Maybe it helps in moving past it, getting over it. You put it out there, people see it, and it just is what it is. Like I said, I'm excited to share more and talk more and continue on this journey uh with whomever sticks through, and myself, like, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's for. And one day I'll get to look back on all these different discussions and be like, oh brother, what were you talking about? But yeah, man, y'all already know what the fuck going on. We out of here. Appreciate y'all.